Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents The Corner Bookstore, hosted by Red O'Loughlin. Step into a world where every story inspires. These pages come to life through the voices of authors from around the globe. Written by our global community of TV show hosts and best-selling authors, these works span genres, generations, and geographies, united by the power of storytelling. Discover your next favorite book and meet the minds behind the work. Thursdays, only on USA Global TV and Radio.
Howdy all, Red O'Loughlin here. Happy New Year for those we missed last week. Just catching up, still the first part of the year. When I'm not doing my TV shows, and I have 3 shows today, back to back to back, the primary thing I do, my real passion in life, is to research the human body at the cellular level, chemically, biologically. I look for cause and effect relationships, primarily focusing on longevity. I look at age-related diseases. I look at a lot of things. But what I want to do is identify stuff that people can at least translate for them so they can make better decisions and go to their doctor and say, hey, doc, what about this? So I try to look at what helps and then what makes things worse. So both ends of the spectrum. I consider myself, I used to be a health and wellness author, but I think a lot of it nowadays is I'm more or less in the area of writing decision support manuals for people who age. It's just that's where most of my stuff focuses at. But when I'm not doing that, I love to cook and garden, a bunch of other things. But regardless of that, let's go ahead and get to our guest today, John Wolforth. He is a writer, author, also a digital expert. And in our back office, just as we're talking, find out he's also an avid author. And also, importantly, he's a podcaster. So, John, please join me up here on stage.
Nice to see you, Red.
Always good to be seen. Anyway, welcome. And from what I understand, this is not a norm for you. This is kind of an entry into the level of live TV. Is that true?
Yep, I'm pretty much a novice at podcast interviews. So bear with me.
I shall do my best. You wrote a couple 3 books on children's books. So tell us a little bit about your background in writing and why you decided to become an author.
I decided to become an author because when I was younger, I discovered I had a penchant for writing verse. And after meeting my wife, she sort of inspired me because of our love for holidays. She inspired me to maybe try and write some stories for her, in this case, Halloween. And it sort of just, the ball sort of rolled from there. And that just turned into other holiday flavored stories along the way. But at the same time, I accidentally put these sort of having similar characters throughout the three books, sort of created a world in itself. And so I sort of started focusing more on building that world out as a toy maker universe. He's a pivotal character that exists throughout the three books, and future books as well that I'm already in the process of writing. So that's the inspiration was, again, that belief in myself as far as being able to write and rhyme, for one, and two, my wife being a big driving force, and wanted to entertain her.
Toymaker Tales. Why that not moniker?
It's I don't know how it just came into my head at some point or another, because of course it's, rat-tat-tat, Toymaker Tales, easy to remember in that sense, but also being that Toymaker is the focal character. I mean, he is the mystical backbone of the books. Like, he's always in the center of the action, and he is someone who you would love to have on your side, as far as when you're dealing with adversity of some type or another.
Okay, so this mentor, for lack of a better word, in the Toymaker world,
Yes.
is your creation, and it focuses around holidays mainly. I looked at you. It looks like you have a book a year for the last 3 years, and
Correct.
and so is that going to continue, or are we going to see a couple books a year, or are there going to be more Christmas stories down the road, or you don't know yet?
Well, yes, actually, the intent was to release another holiday themed book this past Christmas season. How, unfortunately, the book was more ambitious for me this time around, and this book was actually written in prose as opposed to rhyme, which extended it quite a bit. And I'm a fan of highly graphically illustrated, vibrant books because they are for children, and visuals is what draw anyone in to any kind of narrative or any kind of story that they want to read. It sort of starts with that, as far as children go anyway, and I think to some extent adults. So that was sort of the problem there. So I'm 95% done with this book, but it's going to have to wait until the next holiday season to get released. And it is actually for slightly older children, being in the tween stage, I would say.
Okay, for clarity purposes, prose and rhyme, what's the difference?
Prose is standard written text with punctuation, full written out sentences with subject, verb, adjectives, or whatever else are included, but they all establish a story in the normal context of how we speak and interact in the world. Whereas rhyme is a series of lines that, of course, intend to rhyme in the first place, but also convey the challenges, conveying enough detail within them to carry the story along. So for me, rhyme just seemed to come easier in the beginning to write these stories. And it's funny because I've actually played around and tried to write some prose versions of them, and it was kind of fascinating. But I do like the rhyme aspect. I think is one of the things that makes them endearing for children because of the memory aspect, the language concept of being able to read along and then rhyme words. It's great for pronunciation, understanding of different words and their meanings.
Okay, so your rhyming and everything is for, I believe, what, 7-year-olds and above. Is that right?
Yeah, 7 to 12 is more or less is the age range for these particular books. Although another aspect of rhyme that's great is the books are great to be read aloud. So if an adult is reading along, it's even better because it's an experience for the parent and the child to read the story together. I think it's more of a binding experience because they can help enunciate the words as they go. And I think this will help contribute to conversations after the story is done.
Do you have any intentions to put it in a foreign language?
I would love to do that, and I have considered that. At this point, it hasn't been something I've acted upon. However, I think it would be, especially now, it's so much easier to do that, that it should be something I should be doing soon.
I know Dante's Inferno was written in rhyme, but when it gets translated from Italian into English, it loses all its rhyme.
Yes, there's that, right?
It has some difficult passages in there that need little asterisks. This is what he really meant to say, or to that degree.
That's an interesting point, Red. I hadn't even considered that. Of course, the words aren't necessarily going to be the same sounding, in another language. So that would be interesting how that would pan out. But
Yeah. And some of the words, even though they're commonly used, maybe there's a better or more commonly used word in that foreign language that AI wouldn't necessarily pick up on a first go round trying to get something in there to start editing.
oh, sure, absolutely, I agree with
Uh,
you.
I can imagine. I mean, I've written several books. I can imagine you put this thing down, you have it in rhyme, and now you have a certain amount of place on a page that it has to go, and you also have to have an illustration. So how do you start marrying up illustrations versus your text?
It's been a learning process. I will tell you that, because the books initially were written without any illustrations. So when we started to put this together, I found a fantastic illustrator who I love, and he has been quite intuitive along the way too. And he seems to love the stories as well, so that's also helpful with his own inspiration. So what I found is the best way to do it is to basically put the text into a layout and then present it to him, and then I would basically give notes as to which pages or which lines should reflect in the illustrations, and then we will try to make that work and marry it up in a way that it flows correctly, first of all. And usually what happens in that sense is that I get the illustration, and if I feel it's accurately interpreting what's going on, then we would basically put the proper text in on the page where that illustration appears. It's really the only way to make it work right. One, knowing how many illustrations you're going to have that are going to cover which parts of the book, which lines are going to be covered, and two, making sure that they do fit within the areas that you want them to. But the text has to dictate the illustration, or I should say the other way around. The illustration dictates the text placement.
How many pages are your books typically?
These 3 books average about 50 pages, and that is because the format of these 3 books is essentially one page is a full illustration. So you've got a page of text and a page of the other page is an illustration in each spread.
Mhm.
And then there are also, full, there are double spreads of illustrations as well. And in those, we probably add 1 or 2 lines or 1 or 2 stanzas in the darker areas. Of course, it can be readable. And so that's kind of how that works out.
You had mentioned earlier that the world, the meaning of your books is important. Let's go into that for a little, just briefly.
Well, I think what it's important about this is that the books, the way I write is I don't necessarily write to teach lessons. It's more like let the children read the story and pull the lessons that mean something to them from it. So the context of why I write these stories, that's one of the reasons. The main reason, of course, is for people to enjoy them. But the deeper reason is that they are, allegories, parables, whatever you want to say, in a way, but they are not intended to, again, reflect one particular ethic or one particular moral, or even provide a lesson that is blatantly obvious. It's things that, in the context of the story, different children are going to get different meanings. It might be applied to something that's happening in their own life. So I feel that that's a kind of an important angle to consider when I was writing them. I didn't want to be preachy. I just wanted to provide a fun story that they could get some meaning out of it that may be applied to their own lives.
Okay. So keeping it fun. They're kids.
That's super important. It has to be fun. They have to enjoy it, right? And there is an element of darkness to the stories, and what I mean by that is there is a backbone of it, or a subtle, thing that runs through it, a subtle meaning that runs through them all, but it is not angry. It's not malevolent. It is a type of darkness that sort of contributes to the overall situation, but reflects again what children may already have an instinct for or have an understanding of in the world, the normal world, the regular world. If that makes sense, what I'm trying to say is they are trying to get, they're reading the stories and they're pulling something out of it, but it's going to also include that adversarial aspect, because that's how life is. Everything has dark and light to it.
Okay, so toy makers in the book, are the other characters in all the books, or just come and go depending on what's going on?
For these 3 books, the toy maker is the one character that appears in all 3, but there are overlaps to the Christmas and the Halloween story. Actually, that's not true. The only overlap is basically toy maker, yeah, because in the Christmas story, it's Santa Claus is there, of course, and then some other people. And then in the Halloween story, it's just really the toy maker is the only character we know from other books, where the subject, the child in that book, the kid in that book, is not really, we don't really meet him again.
Okay, let me see if we can pull up Amazon and take a look at the covers. Who do you get to do your cover art?
The same illustrator that did all the other drawings. To me, very talented. What I didn't want to do was fall into I seem to feel that, a lot of books, the art is super similar in the way they portray characters, with a similar kind of faces and a similar kind of actions and things that they do. And I wanted to try and break that mold a little bit and have characters that have more differences to them, more details or more things that define them from the ubiquitous, the big-eyed characters that you tend to see across a lot of different children's books.
Okay, so your illustrator did the inside of the book, and then at some point in time, you all start working on the cover, and
Correct.
And this is what you have coming up. Maybe we get somebody to click on the cover just a little bit to see how that might come up a little bit bigger. There we go. Fantastic. Thank you.
Yes, I love that's why I just love his penchant for detail. I said, I want a toy factory on a mountain. What can you do? It's sort of like that.
Okay. Now, this is a Christmas book, and you said you just got finished writing another Christmas book that's going to come out next Christmas?
Correct. Like, the manuscript is done, but the illustrations were not completed in time for the season, so we sort of had to put it on hold. But I look at that as a win, because it gives me time to go back and reanalyze the story and maybe fix any other holes that may be present. It was actually interesting because I didn't read it to my wife, and she's, well, what about this and this? And I'm like, oh, okay. So there's probably a little bit more, information required to make that story balance better. So that's where that's the goal, is to get that one out next season. But in the meantime, I'm probably going to try and work on something else that is a bit more evergreen. However, I will just want to clarify that I don't feel that these stories are tied to holidays. They take place around holidays, but that is sort of the construct that inspires me. That's how I wrote them in the first place. But the stories themselves are lessons. I keep saying that, but they're not true lessons. But again, I was trying to make the point that they have things in them and, aspects to them that happen every day. There's just anyone's life could experience things that come up in these stories.
John, we're getting ready to go to a break here very shortly, commercial break, maybe a minute and a half. But when we come back, I want to continue on the book, your editing and development and proofing and all that. So we're going to go ahead and go to a quick break here, and then we'll be back very shortly.
Great.
In a noisy world, true connection begins with listening. Elevated listening transforms every conversation in just 5 simple steps. Pause and breathe. Set your intention. Listen with curiosity. Reflect back. Agree on one next step. Join the Listening Mentor on Let's Finally Talk with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the Listening Mentor, where we help you find inner peace, one conversation at a time. Streaming every day. Let's Finally Talk TV show with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, only here on USA, Global TV and Radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channels to watch and engage with all our content.
Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now. Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now. Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now.
Brett O'Loughlin here. We're on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And my guest today is fellow author John Wolforth. He's a children's author. And John, please join me back up here on stage.
Here we are.
Back again. When you're writing in rhyme, I can imagine the editing must be a much bigger headache than what we typically do when we write it in prose, as you talked about earlier, normal conversation. Tell us about that.
Well, it's funny because to me, it kind of seems the opposite. I think in a way, whether this is an accurate way to look at it, but it's how I looked at it anyway in the beginning, is writing in rhyme. You can escape a lot of those requirements for proper grammar, punctuation, and so on. Because initially I never had any, realistically. But then, of course, after I did get it edited, we did add commas and periods and quotation marks where needed. But I seem to feel like the prose carries a much greater burden for those types of things because it is expected. Where I think rhyme gets away with more. As I said, it just seems that people are more forgiving when they read that versus a standard prose where they're going to say, "Well, I missed a period there. Or there's no comma. Why should be a comma there, right?" Things like that. So to me, it was a simple process for the rhyming types of things.
Where do you go for source for rhyming? Okay.
That's it. I just I don't. It just came to me. Like I never learned how to do it. I never looked at any kind of examples or methodologies, whether that is sort of a thing, when you write or when you write music and so on, that you have a proper cadence. And now that is important. And I've discovered that more as you go along, that, sometimes in rhyme, you were writing things just to fit, to make it rhyme, and it may not be the best choice of words. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. And the challenge there is, of course, to make it flow. You need it to flow. It needs to balance. So, I'm often finding myself going, okay, so there's 7 syllables in this line. So there should be 7 syllables in that line. And that's not always true. It doesn't necessarily have to be. It's how it's inflected is more important than how many syllables are there. Inflected and the way that it's just comes off the tongue. I mean, I think you know what I'm getting at. Is it needs to flow and balance so that it feels comfortable as you read it and not clunky and clumsy.
Have you used or have you considered using AI as a source for rhyming?
Well, what's funny is I threw a story and I said, actually, I went to ChatGPT and I said, write, I forget what it was. It was sort of doing, I think, a LinkedIn post or something like, oh, I want to be funny. Like, what would you do for like a rhyme about this subject? And it comes up with the stuff. And I just sort of say, I mean, it's not bad. Some of it's actually good, but more of my concern is where do you get it versus how good or bad it is. So I tend not to want to depend on that.
Well, I wasn't concerned about actual writing, the intellectual property you're talking about, but what words rhyme with right, for instance, and then you 100.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
115 words that rhyme with right, but what are the meanings that convey the same thing? So just using it as a tool, like a spell check.
That's a good idea, Red. I haven't actually tried that, but
no charge. Just take it and run with it.
All right, I appreciate that.
But like anything else, when you're using AI, it's all in the prompt. I use
Right.
about a 2-page prompt for my research that I do in the human body because I want to have certain things. And I have probably an hour conversation almost daily with ChatGPT on some aspect of things that are going on. And last night I'm saying, okay, notebook LM, I'm probably going to be using, not probably, I will be using it very shortly. And so we're having a conversation back and forth about how I can meld those two AIs together to maximize what I want in order to do the development and the research down the road. So I think there's a lot there. And again, it's how you use the tool. I mean, certainly you can say, write me a book, here's this, boom, 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 and make sure it rhymes. Thank you very much. And, but that's not you. That's an artificial thing creating something. But if all you need is words that rhyme, it's a tool. It's like spell checker. Why not use it? Grammar checker.
Oh, it is. And I use it for research in other ways, not that particular way, but I do use it for my Substack posts, for example, because those are current affairs and, about the current state of the world. So in that case, I often use it for research as far as getting statistics and getting details of particular stories or particular events that are happening from different angles. Of course, you don't want to just take one account for anything. And I think that is a very helpful tool for those purposes. It does accelerate the process and gets rid of a lot of the tedium as far as writing those types of posts, because, who wants to spend their time going through multiple websites and trying to extract certain aspects of what you're reading to come up with a narrative that is true and accurate. So
I might suggest Notebook LM as a potential source for you down the road.
yeah.
From what you're telling me, I think it would be a tremendous boost for you.
I'll take a look at it, Red, because if you're suggesting it, that might be a good. I will do it.
I asked you earlier if some of the same characters were in multiple books, but I wanted to find out, is there going to be a series, like it's a Christmas series where the same characters are getting older or getting more involved with things?
Right. So the three, they're not, there's an Easter story, Halloween story, and a Christmas story, right? So I've sort of been cyclical. I'm going back. The Christmas story was the first one, so now that's what the next one is, right? But beyond that, I've got several other Christmas stories. I don't have another Easter story. I have a bunch of Valentine's Day stories, which are kind of humorous. But I mean, I think where I'm going with it is get that story done, and then probably, as far as revisiting characters, if that's what you're saying, there's very few characters that will be revisited in the context of these stories, even though there is one Christmas story that shows the kid from the Halloween story, The Witch's Revenge, as an adult, but he's only briefly in it. He's not central to the plot.
Any thought about taking advantage of being the 250th anniversary of the United States and having a story that would fit into that one?
Absolutely. And I have thought about that. And thank you for asking. And I do have thoughts on that. And it would sort of be a tie between what happened in the beginning and sort of through the more sensitive periods of history. And the challenge is to find a way to tie all that together and create a narrative that balances it all. But that's one thing I'm confident about, is finding that ability to create those sort of rhyming passages and make it sensible. So that's the goal. Yeah, I'm probably think seriously about doing that type of story.
Any audiobooks in the future?
Oh, I'd love to do that too. It's funny. My wife is a voiceover artist, although that's not her main job, and I've been bugging her to do it, but she actually works in legal. That's her main profession. So she doesn't have a whole lot of time. So it's sort of like it hasn't happened. We still would like to do it. I may just say, oh, okay, well, you're fired. I'm going to go with somebody else.
Well, I noticed a couple of years ago, the KDP Amazon offered hardcover, like 70 pages or something like that. And that was kind of a new one, because that was usually Ingram Spark or somebody else to get that done. Now, this season, it's audiobooks are now available with obviously computer voice, AI voice. I'm giving serious thought to it, but I've got to find the right voice that fits. For what I write, I have a certain thing in mind, but that might be an easy way, so at least something to look at.
That's a very good point. It's also, you're just a fountain of information, font of information.
No, we're here just having a conversation, trying to help each other, right?
That's right. Thank you, Red. I appreciate it.
Any customer feedback? Have you been in book signings or anything like that, or somebody has been, my kid loved this book. Tell us about that.
I have done readings at various libraries and a couple of classrooms, and I've gotten some good feedback from that. As far as reviews, though, I've got one kid who is like my super fan. I think everyone hopes to have one of those, and he does nothing but write fantastic, reviews about the books and how much he loves them, and just like he actually said, this is the best Christmas story ever, which I thought was, you can't get a better compliment than that, which just blew me away. And he's a very smart child, and I do appreciate his continued support from it. And there are various other ones, not a ton. I mean, I am a self-published author, and you know how the industry is. It's very difficult to break through and get the exposure that you'd like to get. So, you do what you can, but I mean, it's always, I think that's why it's always important when you get a review to just, that sort of helps you keep going. It's incentive. It's validation that what you're doing does affect people in a positive way.
Tell us a little bit about your podcast.
It's interesting. My podcast is very town-centric. It's about the town I live in, which is Ipswich, Massachusetts. When we moved here, we just sort of fell in love with the town. It's a town full of history. It's a town full of artistry. We have the biggest collection of colonial time housing that still exists in the country, I believe, with entire block or 2 blocks of colonial homes from the late 1600s, early 1700s. So that's a phenomenal thing to be proud about. And actually, one of the restaurants in town claims to be established in 1634 or 1640, I should say. And I tend to believe they probably were based on their decor. But it's good. It's good for them at the same time. So
I've been to some bars and restaurants over in Europe that were, I think Ufleku was at 13.99 or something like that, they're in Prague. But yeah, there's some places that are really neat when you go into them, and they haven't changed much over the centuries.
Yeah. So the bottom line was, what I'm trying to get at was that I'm very proud of the town. We fell into this town. We love it here. I often say the only way I'm leaving this town is in a box. Don't, it's a little macabre, but that's sort of me. But the podcast came as an idea in a way that I wanted to give back to the community and just make a contribution to the people who are just, there's so many good, positive people that make a difference in this town. I wanted to give them a voice. And so get them on the podcast and tell their side of the story, or, how they came to do things, or, it can be anything from culture to politics to religion. Well, not religion so much. It's kind of a very iffy one, but politics and culture are okay. And, social issues, environmental issues, things like that. So we kind of cover the gamut. I'll have a town planner on one week. Another week I'll have a local clammer who has been here for 47 years digging clams, and his perspective on ecology and resilience and as far as preservation and all these things. So there's really fascinating stories that come out of it. It's not anything I monetize. It's just purely something that this is my way of thanking the town for being what it is.
So you primarily concentrate on the town, the people, the culture, the things that you see every day.
Correct. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not a lofty ambition to go nationwide or anything with it. But hey, if you want to listen, free to listen to it.
Okay, before we get ready to close up things here, I have to ask you. Tell me about your garden.
Well, we've been gardening for, since we bought our first house like 25 years ago. And it's just something my wife we're both Italian heritage. And so we really love, she loves canning tomato sauce so we can have it through the winter, our homemade sauce. So it started with that. So we started growing a bunch of tomatoes, and tomatoes became lettuce, and then cucumbers and peppers and melons and beans and corn and what am I missing? Kale, other stuff. Basically, any kind of vegetable that you can grow yourself, we would give a shot at doing it. So it changes every year because you've got a certain area to grow the garden to plant in. But it's always very tomato focal. She needs those tomatoes, so that's like the main thing. But I'm a pretty good tomato grower now at this point after this many years, and I've learned quite a bit. So it's something we loved and wouldn't really want to do without. And what's even better now being in this town is there are a lot of farms in the area too. So if something fails, like, oh, we can go get it at the farm, So, but we still like to grow what we can by ourselves.
Well, John, how do people get in touch with you? How do they buy your books?
So my books are available on Amazon and also on my own website, toymakertales.com. You can reach me if you want to know more at author@toymakertales.com. And beyond that, that's the best way to find my books and reach me if you want. And what's odd about Amazon, for some reason, you can't search by title of the books. You have to search for my name. So that's just a tip. For some reason, they don't come up if you put in the name of the book. It's odd. I've never figured that out why, but
because I sometimes search by titles of books and that come up, but it's usually a Google search, not an Amazon search.
Yeah, probably in Google would come up. You're right.
But sometimes I go in there trying to find something, and I have a author's name, Jane Smith. And there's 450 Jane Smiths. I'm trying to find a book, and it's interesting. But John, thank you so very much. I know you also are a digital expert, and maybe that might be an opportunity for you to be a guest on another one of my shows called The Wise Ones, which starts in about 24 minutes from now. So anyway, I would love to chat with you down the road, and I'd like to figure out, like to see how your last New Christmas book that's going to come out actually makes it. So down the road, I certainly hope we connect again.
Thanks, Rick, for having me. I really appreciate it, and I would absolutely love to be on your other podcast. If you are so inclined, be happy to make a contribution there if I can.
Okay, if I had a podcast, I'd have you on it, but it's all live TV.
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah, we when we make mistakes, they're there forever, as my boss tells me. So
let's make some.
John, thank you so very much. I really and truly appreciate it, and we will catch you down the road. Take care, sir. Red O'Loughlin here. We're getting ready to wrap up today's show on USA Global TV and Radio Network called the Corner Bookstore. The next show is The Wise Ones. A good friend of mine is going to be on there today. He's involved with a new venture. He's also a Vietnam veteran, as I am, and we've been to a number of different events here throughout things. But I think he has something fairly serious to talk about today. I'm talking today in my show called Talking Heads, which is in about 22 minutes, an hour and 22 minutes. And I'm talking today about New Year's resolutions. And basically my topic is fix the system, not the goal. Because when you look at your subconscious mind, which really and truly controls everything you're doing in your life, 95% or more, it controls your habits, your beliefs, it controls the things that really drive you, those things that are super important to you. So as you start, I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, that may be a good goal for you, but it may not necessarily align with your subconscious mind because of the things that you've done in the past to lose weight and failed at. And now they're all listed, they're archived in the front of your brain as flashing red lights. Do not do this. And so anyway, that's what we're going to talk about today. So that being said, I'm going to get ready to leave the show here in a moment and get ready to start The Wise Ones. And my show guest today is Mike Martin, and I will join you all again next week. Take care, y'all. Bye now.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA-Global-TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.